Okay, good morning students, and this is the first class of digital communication and sophisticated process as per new syllabus, and paper code is EC503. So if we clarify our syllabus, then there are four module 1, module 2, module 3 and module 4. First two module that is related to the totally statistics part, and third module and fourth module that is related to the digital communication as well as how we process data in that digital communication, etc, etc. So if we starting from that particular two module, then that concept becomes too much difficult. Okay, so we starting from the module 3. Okay, so if we clarify the subject name, then first two word is digital, then second word is communication. We don't explain the word communication because already you studied the subject analog communication. Okay, but next term is first term is that is called digital. So the basic concept is here, what's the basic difference in between analog signal and digital signal. And if we ask this question to any kind of student, then 99% students gives the wrong answer. So answer is just like that. Sir, analog signal means continuous and digital signal means discrete. That is totally wrong answer. Okay, always remember, this is a figure, this is a figure, and that also there are two figures. Okay, this type of signal is called the analog signal, and this type of signal is called the digital signal. So what's the basic difference in between two particular types of figure? So first of all, always looking for the amplitude axis with respect to the time axis. If we go in the analog signal, then there are infinite level of the amplitude. Okay, there are infinite level of the amplitude. Okay, next, if we go in the digital signal, only there are two level of the amplitude. This may be 0, this may be 1, or this may be 0, maybe 5 volt, etc, etc. So the basic difference in between analog and digital signal is that as per the amplitude level. That's mean in analog signal there are infinite number of amplitude, but in digital signal there are finite number of amplitude. That is the number one, and that is the very big and very important difference in between analog signal and digital signal. Second thing is that this particular figure describe also analog signal and digital signal, but both are discrete. Discrete means, suppose this is our y-axis, so we represent here amplitude, and x-axis we represent here time. Okay, suppose this is 0 point. In 0 point there are no amplitude, that is 0, and this is suppose 1t. 1t you have some amplitude, next 2t here some amplitude, but next 3t there's some amplitude, etc, etc. But in between 0 and 1 there are no amplitude, in between 1 and 2 there are no amplitude, in between 2 and 3 there are no amplitude. This is called the discrete signal. If we go in the MATLAB programming, if we use the plot, the system comes like a continuous signal. But if we use the stem signal, then this type of discrete signal appear. But it is not matter, the discrete means it is digital, and continuous mean it is analog. That is totally wrong concept. That is analog, continuous analog, that is discrete analog, and this is continuous digital, that is discrete digital. Okay, so that's mean first thing is that the difference in between analog signal and basic signal, digital signal, is that as per the amplitude. Now the second point comes, if we go in the amplitude, there one concept appear, that is called the noise, and that is very big troubling in our any type of communication system. Noise means unwanted signal in our desired signal. Okay, that is called the noise. Okay, so always remember, noise affected in the amplitude of the signal. Noise never affected the time level or frequency, but always remember, noise affected the amplitude of the signal. If there are signal, there are so many levels of the amplitude, or infinite level of the amplitude. always remember there are probability of affection of the noise then infinite, because infinite level. But if we go in the digital signal, there are only two levels. So if noise attacked in that particular system, then only here some noise attacked and here some noise affected, but in between that there are no noise affected. That's mean analog signal affected by noise hugely, but digital signal affected by noise very shortly. And instead of that, we have several types of filter by which we obviously distinguish the noise from my original signal. Okay, so that's the basic difference in between analog signal and the digital signal. Okay, so next question is that why we go for the digital signal, আমরা কেন digital signal যাব? Okay, so first of all, if we go from the analog concept, the first burden in our analog communication is that is called the noise. Okay, so this noise is the very important in our digital communication system, because, or as well as any kind of communication system, because we always remove the noise portion. So if my system is that, so there are noise affected is less, so obviously that system is better. That's mean in case of the digital communication system. So here, why we go for the digital communication? First of all, noise issue, because if we go in the digital, then only this portion, but if we go in the this portion, only this portion and this portion noise affected, but no other portion affected by the noise. But if we go in the analog, then there are several issue for there are several portion by which affected by the noise. Okay, so we always go for the digital signal. Second thing is that is called security issue. So obviously one is the part of the security issue, and second thing is that how we declare that my digital communication system is totally different or totally secure from the other communication system. For that, we have to go the basic block diagram of the digital communication system. Okay, so if we go in the any kind of block diagram, then we always starting from the source. This is the transmitter portion and this is receiver portion. In between that, there we draw a channel. That channel may be wired channel or maybe wireless channel, and that is called the antenna. Okay, so first of all, this is our transmitter portion. This is called source. Okay, the source means, suppose I want to say something to you people, that is also a source, or some kind of voice or any kind of song recording, and that is obviously a source. Okay, so always remember that source is basically analog, because our real life is analog. Okay, so first of all, if we go in the digital communication system, we have to convert that source in the digital platform. So that's mean, suppose we have a analog signal, that is the source. Our first work to convert that signal to the digital signal. That's been 1001, this type of pattern. Okay, so if we go in the source to digital platform, then here we used another block that is called the source encoder or encoder. Okay, that's been the basic function of that source encoder is that it's convert the analog signal to the digital signal for further processing. Okay, next we use the block that is called the channel encoder. So what is that channel encoder? Because this is a different block. So in between that block, we obviously use the some channel. That channel may be a wired channel or maybe wireless channel. But when we go in the digital communication system, after encoder or source encoder, we use the channel encoder. Basically, channel encoder portion, this is the crucial portion in the digital communication system. Why? Because different type of algorithm we used here for secure our system. The different type of algorithm means in this sector or in this module, in the next portion, we go different type of channel coding technique like NRZ, RZ, that type of that. Okay, so by the help of the channel encoder, we secure the channel, we secure our encoded data. This is the channel. From that channel, no hacked appear in the next portion. Okay, now after the channel encoder, we go for the modulation technique. So obviously you people familiar of the word the modulation. So first of all, you familiar of the what the digital analog modulation. There are AM, FM. Okay, but here we go for the digital modulation technique. That's mean the input data we used here as a digital form. So there are several type of digital modulation technique that is we discuss in the module 4. Okay, so this is the receiver transmitter portion. So first of all, source, that is analog, then encoder or source encoder which convert that analog channel to the digital channel. Next, channel encoder. Channel encoder means that by encoded that source's data encrypted in such a way or such algorithm by which my system becomes too much secure. Okay, so this is the basic function of the channel encoder. Okay, after the channel encoding we go for the digital modulation technique, and there are several type of digital modulation technique like ASK, FSK. After the digital modulation, this is called antenna. Okay, we transmitted the channel by the antenna, and in between two antenna, this is the receiver portion antenna, there are some channel. That channel may be wired channel or maybe wireless channel. Okay, next we comes for the receiver portion. Okay, so if we comes from the receiver portion, then digital this is the reverse process of the transmitter portion. So first here we use the digital demodulation procedure. Okay, just opposite version here. The is discard the carrier wave and only accept the message signal. Okay, next we go for the channel decoder, just reverse term. Channel decoder means suppose here we have a signal 101010 and 10 means this is 1, this is 0, this is 1, this is 0 in that way. But by the help of the channel encoder we may be transmitted that 1 such in that way, 0 in that way. Okay, next portion we there are some gap, next 1 in that way, 0 in that way. So this is called the function of the channel encoder system. Okay, now this type of signal or this type of system by the help of the channel encoder converted to here, that's been original 1010 pattern. So after that original 1010 pattern, here we use the source and decoder. So basic function of the source decoder is that here the encoded the digital platform data to the analog data, and this is the destination, maybe any type of public address system like speaker, etc, etc, etc. So this is the basic block diagram of the digital communication system. Now next we go for the some basic drawbacks of the digital communication system. Okay, so first of all, there are so many advantages of the digital communication system, and which we discussed in that particular portion, and any kind of book if you studied, then there are a few points about the advantage and disadvantage of the digital communication system. Now we depicts only 2 points, and this is the crucial point of the digital communication system in case of the drawbacks. The first point is that is called the bandwidth becomes larger. Okay, here in any kind of communication system a very important thing is that is called the bandwidth. Okay, so what do you mean by bandwidth? If you go mathematical formulation, then that is the upper cutoff frequency and lower cutoff frequency, the difference in between that is called the bandwidth. But if we go in the physical qualification of the bandwidth, the bandwidth means suppose we have a channel. Okay, suppose we have a channel, so how many frequency range of data flows in this channel, that is called the bandwidth. And always remember that bandwidth we have to purchase from the government. যত bandwidth বাড়বে মানে কোনো কোম্পানিকে গভর্নমেন্টকে তত বেশি টাকা দিতে হবে, দ্যাট ইজ কল্ড দ্য স্পেকট্রাম পারচেস. ওকে, তো উই অলওয়েজ গো ফর দ্য ভেরি লোয়ার bandwidth channel. So because if we go in the lower bandwidth channel, then we have to pay the very less money, but if we go in the very larger bandwidth channel, then we have to pay the larger money. So in case of the digital modulation system, there are so many critical procedure. By the help of that, the bandwidth becomes too much larger. So this is the very big challenges as well as the drawbacks of the digital communication system, and as well as the system becomes too much complex due to that several channel encoding, source encoding. There are several types of portion for supporting the digital documentation. So this is the main two drawbacks of the digital communication system, and this is our first class. Okay, and this is the introductory class. So after hearing that video, please give your feedback. Next we proceed our next classes. তো কেমন হলো না হলো একটু জানানো দরকার। এটার উপর বেস করে আমি নেক্সট ক্লাসটা কিন্তু করব। আমি এটা হোয়াটসঅ্যাপেও পাঠাচ্ছি, অ্যাজ ওয়েল অ্যাজ গুগল ক্লাসরুমেও তোমাদের দিয়ে দিচ্ছি। ওকে।